Ready for a deep dive. Today we're tackling self-mastery, uh, conquering inner battles, all that good stuff. We're going to be unpacking Darius Foroux's ebook, Win Your Inner Battles, and yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
It really is.
Yeah, it's all about understanding, how fear, lack of confidence, all those things can kind of trip us up on the road to, personal growth and all.
Yeah.
Foroux's own story is pretty interesting. Um, Quitting his job, dealing with some health issues, forced him to confront his own inner struggles, and he took all that and poured it into this ebook. And clearly it's resonated with a lot of people.
It has. He's got millions of readers on his articles, a huge following on his newsletter. People are definitely interested in this topic.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just jump right in. What are these inner battles? How do they kind of mess with us? And how can we start to tackle them?
Sounds good.
Right off the bat, he throws out this really intense quote from Laird Hamilton. Make sure your worst enemy doesn't live between your own two ears.
Ooh, yeah, I like that one.
Talk about a wake-up call, right?
Yes,
Sometimes it feels like the toughest fights are the ones we have with ourselves.
absolutely. And it's amazing how much we overlook the power of our thoughts. Fear, for example, is a totally natural human reaction to danger. Kept our ancestors alive. But nowadays, we experience a lot of misplaced fear. It's not like we're dodging saber-toothed tigers on the way to work.
Right. I'm way more likely to stress about a deadline than like a bear attack these days.
Yeah, exactly. Deadlines, presentations, what people think of us on social media, instead of physical threats, we get all worked up about this stuff that may not even happen. Research says 65% of our thoughts are negative.
Wow.
That's a lot of energy, spent worrying. The thing is, we can't always control what life throws at us, but we can control how we react to it.
So true. And that actually reminds me of a quote from Bertrand Russell.
Okay.
He said, "Fear is the main source of superstition and one of the main sources of cruelty. To conquer fear is the beginning of wisdom." So he's saying fear not only hurts us, but it can make us act in ways that hurt others too.
Exactly. And think about it historically. Fear's been used to manipulate and control people, like unfounded fears. Those can lead to prejudice, discrimination, even violence.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why critical thinking is so important, questioning those fears instead of blindly accepting them.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So how do we tell the difference between like legitimate fear, real fear, and anxiety that's just making things worse? Because it seems like fear is so ingrained in our lives, it's tough to take a step back and really figure out what's a real threat and what's not.
Yeah, well, Foroux breaks this down in his book. He says there are two main types of fear. First, fear of something happening, an accident, illness, losing your job.
Oh,
And then there's fear of taking action,
right.
being afraid of confrontation, public speaking, failing. Recognizing which kind of fear we're dealing with is really important for addressing it.
So like once we figure out what kind of fear we're actually dealing with, then what do we do about it? Is there a way to like actually fight back against it?
Yeah. He gives us a tool, a list of 20 questions to help you become more self-aware. Helps you uncover those roots of your fears. By honestly answering those questions, we can understand our fears better and figure out how to handle them.
Okay, so we're starting to see how fear kind of works in our lives. But how do we actually combat it? I mean, there's that old Chinese proverb, if you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go fishing. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. If you want happiness for a lifetime, help someone else. While I totally endorse helping others, are there like more philosophical approaches, something that offers like a more lasting solution?
Yeah, for sure. Stoicism, which is this ancient philosophy from Greece, it offers some incredible tools for managing our modern anxiety.
Right?
It's about achieving happiness, peace of mind, by learning to accept what you can't control and focusing on what you can. That's your actions, judgments, those things.
Okay, but how does Stoicism actually work in our like hectic 21st century lives? It seems like there's so much pressure to like control everything these days.
What's amazing is how timeless Stoicism is.
Hmm.
These teachings are, thousands of years old, and they still resonate today. Epictetus, who's one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, said, "For it is not death or pain that is to be feared, but the fear of pain or death." He's pointing out that it's often the fear of something rather than the actual thing that causes us the most suffering.
Yeah. It's like our imagination just runs wild and creates all these worst case scenarios.
Exactly. And another Stoic, Seneca, he talked about the happy life, and he said, "The happy life is to have a mind that is free, lofty, fearless, and steadfast, A mind that is placed beyond the reach of fear, beyond the reach of desire, that counts virtue the only good, baseness the only evil, and all else but a worthless mass of things which come and go without increasing or diminishing the highest good.
So basically, he's saying that true happiness comes from within and is not dependent on external things.
Okay, that's deep. But can you give like a real world example? Like, how does this actually apply to daily life? Sure. Foro tells this story about a coaching client, Chris. Chris was terrified of getting fired. So Foro helped him work through this fear by imagining that worst case scenario.
Okay.
And Chris realized that while losing his job would be tough, it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah.
There were other options like finding a new job, starting a business, maybe exploring different career paths.
So it's about facing your fears head on and realizing they might not be as scary as you initially thought.
Precisely. And visualization can be really helpful too.
Okay.
Think of Floyd Mayweather, the boxer. He was famous for visualizing his victories, like every single detail, mentally rehearsing every move.
Yeah.
This helped him walk into fights with, unshakable confidence because he'd already conquered them in his mind.
That's incredible. I never thought of visualization as a way to, combat fear.
Yeah.
But it makes total sense.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me think of that Michelangelo quote. The greater danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that it is too low and we reach it. If we can envision ourselves overcoming challenges, then we set the bar higher for ourselves and build the confidence to actually get there.
Exactly. Confidence often comes from competence. We build it by starting small, setting realistic goals, embracing a growth mindset. As we learn new skills, achieve those small wins, our confidence naturally increases and we feel more capable of tackling the bigger challenges.
I like that, building confidence through competence. It just feels more sustainable than just trying to think positive all the time. And it kind of ties in with Thoreau's idea of not beating ourselves up over past mistakes. Instead, we should see them as opportunities to learn and grow.
Absolutely.
Kind of like Marcus Aurelius said, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself and your way of thinking. Our mindset really is everything.
Yeah, it really is. And Thoreau actually talks about living a stress-free life, which means taking responsibility for our actions instead of dwelling on things we can't control. Stop complaining, accept the situation, and focus on finding purpose and meaning.
That shift from complaining to problem solving seems so crucial, especially in our world today where it's just so easy to get sucked into negativity online.
It really is.
Makes me think of Michael Jordan. He said, "There was never any fear for me, no fear of failure. If I miss a shot, so what?" That focus on the next move, not dwelling on past misses, seems so essential,
Absolutely.
especially for navigating life's challenges.
Yeah, and that leads right into the importance of saying no.
Okay.
In a world filled with so much information and demands, we need to be choosy about what we let in. It's not selfish, it's about prioritizing our well-being, making sure we're investing our energy in things that really matter. Thoreau is very clear. You never have to say yes to things you don't want to do.
That really resonates with me. It's about cutting out the noise and being present in the moments that matter. It also makes me think about a point he made in the book that I found super insightful. Finding a mentor. It feels like mentoring has always been a vital way to pass down knowledge. Like in ancient times, right?
Has.
But it feels less common now. What does Thoreau say about it?
Well, he lays out 7 specific tips for finding a mentor, which are incredibly helpful. First, he stresses the importance of becoming a learning machine. Mentors are drawn to people who are genuinely hungry to learn and grow.
That makes sense. If you're not interested in learning, why would anyone want to mentor you?
Exactly.
So what are some of the other tips?
Well, he also emphasizes working on your emotional intelligence. Being able to connect with others on that emotional level is crucial for a successful mentorship.
Okay, so be a learning machine, work on emotional intelligence. What else?
He talks about adding value. Ask yourself, what can you bring to the table that would actually benefit your potential mentor? It's not about brown-nosing, but showing initiative, that willingness to contribute.
Okay.
Another key point is being mindful of their time, respect their schedule, and be concise in your communication.
Got it. Respect their time, offer something in return. What are the last few tips?
He encourages being upfront about your goals and aspirations so your mentor can provide tailored guidance. And finally, he advises focusing on building a real relationship. Mentorship thrives on trust and mutual respect. It goes beyond seeking advice. It's about nurturing that connection.
I appreciate that emphasis on a two-way street. It's not just about what you can take from a mentor, but what you can contribute to.
Exactly.
And this ties in beautifully with another big idea from the book, which is choosing the right people to spend your time with. Our social circles have a huge impact on us.
They do. You've heard the saying, you are who you spend time with,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Foroux contrasts pessimists and optimists in the book. Pessimists tend to focus on problems, while optimists look for solutions. He uses Arnold Schwarzenegger as an example. When Arnold had to learn to ride a horse for a movie, he took that optimistic approach, focusing on solutions, believing he could do it.
That's awesome.
Oh,
And it totally
yeah.
worked. Speaking of learning new things, there's another point in the book that resonated with me. The problem with comparing ourselves to others, it's so easy to get caught up in that, especially with social media these days.
Yeah,
You're always seeing everybody else's highlight reel.
exactly. And Forough encourages us to find motivation from within, from your own growth and progress, instead of seeking that external validation. He introduces this concept of life's work as a framework for finding meaning and purpose, he says. Try different things until something really clicks.
Finding that thing that lights you up, right?
Exactly.
I like that.
And he uses Will Smith as an example. Will's approach is just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Decide, go out, do it, and don't look back. It's about pursuing your passions wholeheartedly. No hesitation.
It's about doing what feels right for you, not what society expects of you.
Exactly.
And that leads us nicely into another key theme.
Yeah.
The importance of being present and finding happiness in the everyday. It's so easy to get caught up in chasing future goals and forgetting to appreciate, like, the present moment.
It is. Forough reminds us that happiness is not a destination, but a skill. We can actually build that skill by consciously choosing to focus on the positive things in our lives. It's about finding the good in the ordinary, not waiting for some big event to make us happy.
That makes so much sense. It's about choosing happiness instead of waiting for it to find us. But Forough acknowledges that our ego can get in the way of happiness, particularly in relationships.
Right.
What does he say about that?
He argues that a lot of relationship conflicts are actually battles between you and your ego.
Ooh, interesting.
We're focused on being right, winning an argument, instead of understanding, connecting with the other person.
Yeah.
He offers these practical techniques for stopping those negative thought patterns that feed the ego-driven fights.
So it's about recognizing those thoughts
Yeah.
and choosing not to engage with them.
Exactly. Detach from the thoughts, accept them without judgment, and learn to ignore the ones that are just unreasonable.
Wow. This has been a fascinating exploration of how to conquer inner battles and live a more purposeful life. I'm particularly struck by Forough's own story of facing his fears, quitting his job to write. It's a powerful example of how acknowledging and addressing our internal struggles can be truly transformative.
Absolutely. He's living proof that facing your fears and pursuing your dreams can lead to incredible things.
Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to touch on one final key takeaway: setting goals and creating systems to reach them.
Okay.
Forough argues that goals give us direction and motivation, while systems ensure consistent progress, even when we hit those roadblocks.
He gives a 5-step method for setting those effective goals. Be specific, think big, set a deadline, decide what you're willing to sacrifice, and most importantly, persevere even when things get tough. He emphasizes that every setback is a chance to learn and grow, and that makes the eventual victory even sweeter.
This has been an incredible exploration of Win Your Inner Battles. It's packed with practical insights for anyone who wants to overcome their internal struggles and live a more fulfilling and purposeful life. I highly recommend checking out his ebook and website for more great stuff on self-improvement and personal growth. But for now, let's take a quick break and we'll be back with more insights soon.
It's about recognizing those limiting beliefs and choosing to challenge them.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, we can start by asking ourselves, what evidence supports this belief? Is it based on facts, or is it just, fear, assumptions?
Right. It's like we need to become detectives of our own minds, examining the evidence before we jump to conclusions.
Exactly. And once we've questioned those beliefs, we can start to replace them with more empowering ones. That's where affirmations come in.
Okay, affirmation.
By repeatedly stating those positive beliefs about ourselves, we kind of reprogram our subconscious. We build new neural pathways, that support our personal growth.
So it's like we're rewiring our brains for confidence and resilience. I like that.
Precisely. And don't underestimate the power of self-care.
Oh yeah, self-care is huge.
Foroux actually highlights the connection between physical and mental well-being. Research shows that regular exercise, a healthy diet, getting enough sleep, it all impacts our ability to handle stress, regulate emotions, cultivate a more positive mindset.
So taking care of our bodies also means taking care of our minds. It's like giving ourselves a solid foundation to build on.
Indeed. And this brings us to another key element in Foroux's approach, finding meaning and purpose in our lives.
Purpose, yeah.
Having a clear sense of why we're here, what we want to achieve, it fuels our motivation, provides direction, and helps us weather life's storms.
So it's like purpose gives us that compass to navigate the challenges and make choices that are aligned with our values.
Absolutely. And Foroux stresses that finding purpose isn't about chasing some, grand external goal. It's about connecting with something that resonates with you personally, something that brings joy, fulfillment, regardless of external validation.
So defining success on our own terms,
Hmm.
not letting societal expectations kind of dictate our path. That seems much more sustainable than chasing, those external markers of success.
Precisely. It's about identifying what truly matters to you and building your life around those values and passions.
This has been such an enlightening exploration of our inner worlds, from understanding fear to harnessing the power of stoicism, visualization, affirmations. We've covered so much ground.
We have. And I think it's important to emphasize Foroux's focus on taking action.
Mhm.
Knowledge without application is useless. He wants us to see this book as a call to action, urging us to take those concrete steps toward winning those inner battles, crafting a life of purpose.
Turn inspiration into action. Use these insights to make real change in our lives. Love it.
Exactly. And Foroux compares personal development to this recurring process.
Okay.
It's not about reaching some final destination, but this continuous striving, learning, and growth.
Hmm.
Just as athletes train consistently, we need to nurture our minds and spirits to truly thrive.
Life's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. We need the right tools and mindset to navigate all the ups and downs.
Absolutely. And this brings us to a crucial element in his philosophy. There are no wrong decisions.
Oh, interesting.
Every choice we make, whether it's successful or not, teaches us something valuable. He wants us to kind of reframe failure as an integral part of growth.
That's so liberating. It takes the pressure off of needing to make, the perfect choice and encourages us to experiment, learn from everything, even the not-so-great experiences.
Exactly. Shift your focus from trying to predict the future, which is impossible, to making the best decision you can right now with the information you have. Trust your instincts, learn from your experiences, and adjust your course as needed.
That's empowering. It takes the fear out of making choices and encourages that adaptability and resilience.
And Foroux also emphasizes generosity and kindness. Reminds us that true happiness comes from giving without expecting anything in return. He even quotes Marcus Aurelius, who says, "Is your cucumber bitter? Throw it away. Are there briars in your path? Turn aside. That is enough. Do not add. And why were such things put into the world?"
I love that. True generosity is about that joy of giving, not keeping score, not seeking recognition.
Yeah,
It's realizing that there's this abundance and there's always enough to go around.
precisely. And this leads us to another powerful concept, the importance of saying no. He argues that by setting boundaries and declining requests that don't align with our values' priorities, we gain time and energy for things that truly matter.
That seems especially relevant today. We're constantly bombarded with requests for our time, our attention. It's like we need to be more selective about where we invest our energy.
Exactly. It's about taking control of your life and making those conscious choices about how you spend your time. Foroux suggests that this ability to say no is crucial for creating that stress-free existence.
That makes perfect sense. Saying yes to everything leads to just feeling overwhelmed, resentful, unhappy. We need to prioritize our well-being and stop sacrificing our happiness just to please others.
Precisely. Foroux argues that saying no can actually improve our relationships.
Oh, how so?
When we're honest about our limitations, our boundaries, it actually builds respect and understanding.
Setting healthy boundaries, not building walls.
Exactly. Communicate your needs openly and respectfully, and make sure your relationships are based on mutual understanding and respect.
I love that perspective, and it actually connects to another point Foroux makes. The importance of surrounding ourselves with positive people. The company we keep significantly impacts our thoughts, beliefs, and ultimately our happiness.
He actually compares our social circles to the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Be mindful of who you surround yourself with. Seek out those individuals who lift you up, inspire you, support you.
It's not just about avoiding the negative people, but actively cultivating relationships with those who embody the qualities we aspire to.
Exactly. Create an environment that supports your growth, challenges you to be your best, and provides you with encouragement and inspiration.
And this leads us to another vital element in Forough's framework: finding a mentor. Having someone who's walked the path you're on can provide that guidance, support, and accountability.
And he highlights the importance of becoming a learning machine, constantly seeking out knowledge and opportunities for growth. True mentors, they're attracted to people who demonstrate a genuine thirst for knowledge and a willingness to work hard.
So don't just wait for a mentor to appear. Actively seek out those opportunities to learn and grow, and that will naturally attract people who are eager to share their wisdom and experience.
Exactly. And Foroux emphasizes the role of emotional intelligence in these successful mentor-mentee relationships.
Okay.
Connect with others on a deeper level, understand their viewpoints, and communicate effectively.
So it's about building that real connection, not just extracting information.
Right. And he gives us a helpful tip. Add value. Ask yourself, what can I bring to the table that would benefit my potential mentor? Show that initiative and willingness to contribute.
I appreciate that.
Mm.
It shifts the dynamic from just taking to reciprocity, recognizing that both parties can gain something from that mentor-mentee relationship.
Absolutely. Approach mentorship as a two-way street where both parties are invested in each other's growth and success.
This has been a truly rich and insightful exploration of Win Your Inner Battles. I especially appreciate his emphasis on taking action, building confidence through competence, and finding that meaning and purpose.
Foroux provides such a powerful framework for navigating our inner worlds and creating a life aligned with our values and aspirations.
Before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to just kind of pause and pose a question to you, our listener.
Yeah.
What's one insight that's resonated with you so far? And how do you plan to actually incorporate it into your life? Just reflect on that before we continue exploring.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Darius Foroux's Win Your Inner Battles. We've been unpacking strategies for facing fear, understanding stoicism, finding that sense of purpose. Now let's wrap things up with some final, powerful ideas from the book.
You know, one thing that really holds people back is that constant comparison to others. Forough tackles this head on.
Oh, yeah, such a trap, especially in the age of social media, right?
It is.
We're just bombarded with everyone's highlight reel, and it makes it so hard not to measure ourselves against these seemingly perfect lives.
He urges us to break free from that comparison game.
Yeah.
It only fuels insecurity and self-doubt. Remember, we're all on our own individual journeys.
So instead of getting caught up in, keeping up with the Joneses, we should focus on our own progress and just celebrate those wins no matter how small they seem. Exactly. There will always be people ahead of us, people behind us on the path. That's natural. Embrace where you are, acknowledge how far you've come, and just keep striving for improvement.
That's a much more refreshing perspective. It takes the pressure off perfection and allows us to enjoy the process, bumps and all. And it also reminds me of another key theme in the ebook, the importance of embracing the present moment. Finding joy in the everyday.
Foroux reminds us that true happiness isn't about achieving some distant goal, but about appreciating the simple pleasures of life right now. We often miss out on the beauty of the present moment because we're so stuck worrying about the past, anxious about the future.
Yeah, it's like we're so busy chasing the next big thing that we forget to appreciate what we already have.
He actually shares a personal story about a time when he was so intensely focused on building his business, achieving goals, but he realized he was sacrificing his well-being and happiness in the process.
That's so relatable. It's easy to fall into that trap of thinking, I'll be happy when. But then that elusive when never seems to arrive.
He had to consciously shift his perspective to focus on enjoying the journey, appreciating those small victories, and celebrating progress, regardless of whether he'd reach the final destination.
That's such a powerful shift. It's about finding that fulfillment in the process, not just the outcome.
Exactly.
And it aligns with another really insightful idea from the book: struggle is good.
Yeah, I like that one.
He argues that challenges, setbacks, they're inevitable.
They are.
But instead of seeing them as these roadblocks, embrace them as opportunities to learn and grow stronger. Like, we develop resilience, strength, wisdom through overcoming adversity.
Absolutely.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
We often discover our true potential when we face those difficult situations and conquer them.
He offers some practical guidance for managing those inevitable struggles.
Okay.
Develop self-awareness, strategies for turning that worry into constructive action. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And then create a plan to address those potential challenges.
That takes us from fear to action. I like it.
Right. And he also provides a framework for achieving goals,
Okay.
emphasizing that it's not just about setting those ambitious targets, but creating systems to support that consistent progress. Consistency, discipline, and perseverance are crucial. Success rarely happens overnight.
It's about trusting the process, even when those results aren't immediate.
Exactly. And his 5-step method for setting those effective goals: being specific, thinking big, setting that deadline, determining what to sacrifice, and most importantly, persevering through setbacks. Each setback teaches us valuable lessons, and it makes the ultimate victory that much more meaningful.
It's about seeing those setbacks not as failures, but as opportunities to learn, to course correct.
Exactly. Thoreau also stresses the importance of living a purpose-driven life.
Purpose.
When we connect with something that deeply resonates with us, it fuels our motivation, it provides direction, and it helps us overcome those obstacles.
It's about aligning our actions with our values and passions.
Right. And he reminds us that finding purpose isn't about achieving some grand external goal, but about living a life that feels authentic and true to ourselves.
Okay.
Which brings us to the final takeaway I want to highlight: the importance of continuous learning and growth.
Growth mindset, yes.
Thoreau actually sees personal development not as a destination, but a lifelong journey.
Hmm.
He encourages an attitude of continuous learning, viewing challenges as opportunities to gain new knowledge and constantly seeking new experiences to expand our horizons. Just like our bodies need exercise, our minds need that regular stimulation to thrive.
It's been such an inspiring exploration of Darius Foroux's Win Your Inner Battles. We've learned so much about understanding fear, embracing that growth mindset, finding purpose, living a more fulfilling life.
And as we wrap up, why don't we give our listeners like a condensed version of those key insights, sort of a 10-point cheat sheet for conquering those inner battles?
I love that. Okay, so here are 10 key takeaways from Darius Forougx's Win Your Inner Battles. Number one, your biggest enemy is often yourself. Recognize that fear and lack of confidence, they can hold you back. Number two, fear is a choice. Don't let it control you. Confront your fears. Realize they might not be as formidable as you imagine. Number three, know yourself. Use introspection to uncover the roots of your fears and develop strategies to overcome them. Number four, focus on what you can control. Stoicism teaches us to accept what we can't change and focus on our actions and judgments. Number five, visualize success. Mentally rehearse overcoming challenges and achieving goals. Build confidence and prepare for that success. Number six, build confidence through competence. Take action, acquire new skills, achieve those small wins to boost your confidence. Number seven, say no to distractions. Prioritize your well-being and focus on what truly matters by setting boundaries and declining requests that don't align with your values. Number eight, surround yourself with positive people. Cultivate relationships with those who uplift, inspire, and support you. Number nine, find a mentor. Seek guidance and support from someone who has already navigated the path you're on. And number 10, live with purpose. Discover your unique passions. Align your actions with your values to create a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling.
That's a great list.
This has been such a truly insightful deep dive into the world of inner transformation. We hope you've gained some valuable tools and strategies for conquering your own inner battles.
Remember, personal growth is a continuous journey, not a destination.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep conquering those inner battles. And until next time, keep diving deep.